Welcome to this episode of Selector's Cut. This is episode 4, which is kind of crazy. And I said this last week, but initially this was supposed to be a 5-episode situation. But it's been going great so far, and I've just been super grateful with all of like the great feedback. Shout out to Destiny, shout out to all my friends. Honestly, Des was telling me that she was listening to the playlist in the car, and she's been listening to it for the last 2 weeks, and she's like, oh my gosh, like I know some of the songs by name now. And I was just like, I love that like other people are listening to like the curated playlist the way like I kind of like thoughtfully intended it to, but also it just like helps me understand kind of like what you guys like and like what you guys prefer when it comes to just like the curation stuff. So that's always good to know. And then also just running into people and them telling me that they listen, and I'm genuinely shocked because I don't want to say I'm genuinely shocked because I feel like I have pretty dope people like that I know, but it's just, this is something that is an expression for me, to be honest. So I guess when you kind of jump into something to really like express yourself and I guess like test your creativity in a way, you often don't think about kind of like the fact that it will be received and perceived and things of that nature. But I've just been super grateful with like the feedback that I have gotten, to be honest. And this has just been very fun. And it's so funny, like the process of preparing for these episodes. I think like when I go into it, I'm like, okay, I need to have like this written down and da 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 da. And it ends up just being like me having fun with it, honestly. So this has just been great. And I'm so grateful for the people that do listen and that will tell me. And if you do listen and you know me and you just tell me, like, let me know that you listen, because like I would love to know what you think about it and things of that nature. But anyways, that was just my little tangent about how much I appreciate the people that have listened and shared so far. But yeah, this episode, obviously last week we talked about alternative jazz. The theme was pumpkin spiced alternative jazz latte. Let me know who is a pumpkin spice latte yet, or if you've turned orange. Just give me that update. I would like to know if it worked or not. But if not, quite frankly, that's all I've been listening to. It's kind of funny with these playlists. It's like when you make a playlist that's kind of fire and you're the one that's making it, it's hard to like listen to other music. I'm not going to lie. I've been listening to that playlist for the last 2 weeks. Literally, whenever I'm doing anything, I'm just like, just press play, like shuffle on it, because it really is taking me into the fall. And it's just been a vibe. But I think the great thing about the alternative jazz playlist is I feel like it was a great segue into other genres, which I will be talking about today. So it's not focused on a specific genre, more so a vibe or a curated vibe that's like aligned with the music that I had on the playlist last week. Last week I talked about some key projects that I loved. So I mentioned Ali Levi, and then I mentioned Kenyon Dixon and Terrence Martin. And then I think the first one was Whimsy by Destin Conrad. So those were the 3 that I talked about this week. What have I been listening to this week? I talk about Peyton like every episode, but she just dropped her new album. Like I've been waiting for it to come out, and it finally came out. And as I suspected, 10 out of 10, solid listen, but also just very cohesive. I really appreciate that about like, I wouldn't say she's an R&B artist in the sense that I find that she can go through any genre really. Just overall kind of creative artist, more on the alternative side. I don't like to box people in, but that's kind of the vibes that I get from it. But just lovely, very cohesive, and I just want to see her blow up, honestly, because she not only has a very unique and like soft voice, but you could just tell that she knows what she wants to sound like, works with the right people, gets great songs, and just knows how to execute. And I think that's something that is not always prioritized. And when I say that, you think to yourself, well, if you're an artist, like obviously you would prioritize having a good sound, having good projects. But I think that when I look at a lot of the releases this year, I think to myself, like, there needs to be a good balance sometimes. Like, yes, we know you can sing, but like the song selections, like, are they good? Is this a song that I would want to listen to? I'm not just going to listen to the song if you could sing. The song still needs to be good. There needs to be some sort of story. When you drop a project, is there a story to it? If there's no story to it, is it cohesive when it comes to production? Is it cohesive in terms of subject matter? Is it cohesive in terms of like overall vibe? And I talked about seasonality last episode, but I think for me, I've learned the older that I get that I do really appreciate like a body of work in a project. With that being said, though, I also don't believe in, okay, here's my entire hard drive. I'm going to slap 16 songs on an album. Here you go, because I'm your fan. Like, please don't think I'm going to listen to that. Like, if you're going to put 16 tracks, which I think is actually quite brave, if you're going to put 16 tracks on an album, I like to hope that 4 of those are interludes. I'm so dead ass. Like, 16 songs. Unless you're like, and this is not like on a hater vibe or anything, but unless you're like Beyonce, I do think putting 16 to 20 tracks on an album is a bit risky. I don't want to say a bit risky. I think it's very risky because you could have put 10 songs on the album, 12 max on the album, and I hope that's 2 interludes, or even like 8. And I feel like if you just think of it from like a math perspective, if you dropped a 10 song album and 9 of those songs were like ultimate bangers, the odds of people having rave reviews of your project are probably going to be a bit higher. But if you put a 16 song album out and there's 5 bangers, 5 hits on the album, and the rest of the albums are skips, like, you kind of did that to yourself. So shout out to, and I feel like people don't say this enough, but shout out to like the A&Rs out there, or like the teams that really like sit with artists and really kind of go through with them. You know, yes, like you are the artist and you are the person who is coming with the creativity and the talent, but allowing them to like kind of do their job. And again, this doesn't apply to everyone. Some people do have the ability to kind of do it all themselves, and some people don't need like a full team kind of guiding them in their creative direction. But I do think there's like an art there. So yeah, I think this week I've been flowing more into more of like a melodic underground lo-fi rap vibe, to be honest, and that's really just come from the production of the music on the previous playlist that I made. So I'm just thinking, you know, another genre that I absolutely love just in terms of drops in the fall is actually rap. And I'm not like a huge rap fan, and I don't even want to say that. I like rap. It's probably like the least I listen to it, probably the least, look like versus other genres. But when I listen to it, like, I'm an appreciator of it. Like, even going to concerts, and when there's a good album, like, I will listen to it. But I'd say I put together kind of like a list of projects. Not all of them are new. Some of them are from the last couple of years, but just kind of my favorite projects to listen to in the fall. And most of these are rap projects, and then there's some that are more on like the alternative side. But if you are looking to kind of like projects to listen to on the train, on the way to work, on the way to school, you know, at home, cleaning in your house on a Sunday, and you're, you know, maybe you've ran through the last playlist that I had and you're ready for the next one, let's kick it off, and I'm going to jump into these next projects and what you should get into. So the first artist that I would jump into, I think it's a bit obvious because of the shirt I chose to wear today. So the merch shirt that I chose was Smino. I got this shirt from the Hoopty tour. He came here I think it says the year on the shirt, 2019. Yes, he came here 2019. That was probably my favorite Smino concert I've been to. For context, I've seen him 3 times. But my favorite Smino concert, that was the first one and still my favorite one. And it might have just been because it was the first one, but this was post-Noir album. And yeah, honestly, I think Smino would be, you can listen to Smino all year, but I think he has 2 specific projects that I think would be like perfect for the fall are listening to right now. The funny thing about Smino is I think you could pretty much listen to all of his music in the fall. But if I were to choose, it would probably be Noir or Love for Rent. Now, Noir is probably my favorite Smino album, even though Black Swan is like right there. Like, it's right there. Noir is probably my favorite Smino album, honestly. Starting off with just how underappreciated that album is. I think that people that know music appreciate that era and appreciate that album, but I think that Smino does a really good job of being strong in melodic rap, but still giving us bars. But because it's so melodic and because it's so artistic, I find that his music really ages with it's honestly like, not to be, no pun intended, because if you know some of the songs on the Noir album, they're kind of like wine related, but like literally like Fine Wine, like there's some songs that I listen to now 2025 and I'm like, he said that, like I can't believe he said that. And Camille and I were talking about it, I think in a couple episodes prior, but I just really appreciate Smino as an artist, and I also think that his vocals are super underappreciated as well. There's a lot of artists that, you know, kind of experiment in their songs and do like melodic rap, and I feel like Smino, I could honestly say that he can do both very well. He sounds great on the songs when he just does like more singy songs, but when he raps, like, he is one of the most underrated lyricists, I think, within this generation of rappers. But I think that he gets overlooked because people might think that he is either more of a singy rapper, or maybe just because they don't understand the bars at first. Like if I were to tell somebody who doesn't listen to Smino to listen to like Company for the first time, I'm sure that they would be like, oh, this is a banger. But one listen doesn't tell the whole story. I feel like you have to listen to Company maybe 4 times, 5 times to be like, oh my gosh, like every single breath is a bar and this song is literally incredible. I think Company is definitely like one of my top 3 Smino songs. And I think that Smino and oh my gosh, what's his producer name? Oh, I think that Smino and Monty Booker are like a goated duo in terms of like producer and artist. And as much as I'm giving Smino credit for the fact that his music is, you know, really a soundtrack to the fall for me, I definitely would give some credit to Monty Booker just in terms of his production style and how creative and experimental he is. But yeah, I would say Noir, Love for Rent, Spins. I love that song. Very, very fall vibes. I love Spins. I love Blue Billy. That one is on Love for Rent, which is like the most recent one. And yeah, I think if you haven't listened to Smino before, I would tell you to start at Noir if you are just used to kind of listening to more alternative music. But if maybe you are like, hey, I'm open to listening to it, but I don't listen to super alternative music, I would start at Black Swan and then listen to Noir, and I feel like it will kind of come together. But both goated albums. Love for Rent, I feel like that album, not that it was bad when it came out, lovely album when it came out, like obviously great body of work, but it took me a while to like love it the same way that I love the other ones. Not because there was anything wrong with it, I just think when you have such a goated catalog, it's almost like every single project as a fan, I'm just kind of like, well, I love the last one, so am I gonna love this one the same way? But yeah, shout out to Smino. I would absolutely love for a Smino project. But until then, I'm going to be listening to the mixtape that he dropped on SoundCloud that is not on streaming, and it hurts me. But it's okay. Yeah, the next one, and I think this is honestly along the same lines, is Isaiah Rashad. Isaiah Rashad, definitely one of my favorite rappers in general. And I feel like if you listen to Smino, you probably listen to Isaiah Rashad. And if you listen to Isaiah Rashad, you probably would like Smino or already listen to Smino. But I feel like they both kind of fall in that like lo-fi backpack rapper category, but also dabbles in melodic rap, more on the alternative side. You'll see them collaborate with more alternative artists. Funny enough, Smino and Isaiah Rashad in their last albums both had Doechii features. So shout out to TDE, because I find that they did a good job of giving her like those heavy hitter features early on before they kind of were able to blow her up. And I think that was strategic. Like a perfect example that I feel like a perfect analogy or like of this is the Monster Nicki Minaj effect, where before Nicki Minaj started to get like a lot of notoriety, we remember her verse on Monster with Kanye West, and everyone was like, who is this girl? She just out-rapped everybody on the song. Like, who is this girl? And, you know, I remember like it was yesterday. And then after that, just slowly, just Nicki Minaj started to be known as the person that would just murder every feature that she was on out rapping guys, like, you know what I mean? Like, so all that to say, I think that they leveraged a similar approach with Doechii in terms of like her upbringing as an artist. And I kudos to TDE. I think they do a good job of not rushing their artists to kind of blow up. It's like they find an artist who's already extremely talented, has the potential, and it's almost like they take them through this traditional artist development process with the intention that, hey, like, we signed you, but don't expect for us to be blowing the bag on you in a year. Like, we're going to wait until you are absolutely like perfect and polished, and we can have time to kind of develop your sound, watch you, and then develop a marketing plan around you so that when we do blow a bag on you, then you actually will be successful, right? And then, you know, looking at other artists on TDE, like, not only that, but I find that even though there's artists on TDE, they are popular, but not like charting popular. They have very loyal cult like fan bases and followings, and they could go on tour anytime that they want, even though they're not like, you know, in the traditional sense, like hit rappers or anything, whatever that means. They can still go on tour and they have solid fan bases. And yeah, I just think that TDE really, you know, I think they get credit for it, but I always think about that. But yeah, I would say Isaiah Rashad, The Sun's Tirade. Obviously all of his other projects are lovely, but I just remember The Sun's Tirade specifically because I think it actually dropped in the fall when it came out. But that one was just like, production wise, probably one of my favorite Isaiah Rashad albums. Obviously the bars were great, but I just feel like production wise, it was just very well thought out, very cohesive album. So that it was strong in that regard. My favorites, I feel like everything is a favorite, but For the Squad, What's Wrong, I'm probably forgetting one. I think it's like Brenda. That one's a good one. So many good songs on that one, but and then B-Day was a great song. But that would kind of be what I would put on the playlist. If I were to save an album for the fall, I would put that one on there. But shout out to Isaiah Rashad. I'm pretty sure he's coming out with new music. When he does, it will be My Entire Personality. Just putting that out there. Okay. So the next album that I would have to shout out, and this is not rap. However, I feel like if you are an appreciator of the underground rap scene, you have probably heard this voice on a feature somewhere, so you'll still have appreciation for it. And I want to shout out Yebba. So for those who don't know Yebba, I can't remember what the album's called. I think it's Certified Lover Boy, but there's like a interlude on that album, and it's like Yebba's interlude. This is the Yebba that I'm talking about. And if I butchered the album that it's on, don't come for me. I'm still a Drake fan. But this is that Yebba that we're talking about. I found out about Yebba through just other artists that I listen to posting about her all the time. And you would often see clips of her just singing her face off. And yeah, I just honestly, she's extremely talented, extremely respected in a singing, you know, perspective. And I think she's like super low key, but it's almost like that artist that like is your artist's favorite artist. Like that's Yebba, I think, in the music space. And she's just extremely talented. So a couple years ago, she dropped her debut album, Dawn. And when I tell you, like, I was shocked at the lack of, not that this is everything, but awards and like critical acclaim that this album got. Because this album was beautiful, but also just like an emotional roller coaster. If you know kind of the backstory, and not to get dark or anything, but if you know the backstory of, you know, the album and her kind of talking about her like late mom and, you know, her experiences with that, just like an overall sonically beautiful album, cohesive album. But I feel like Yebba is just able to give you that same like vocal quality in the studio, and it translates like live as well as in the studio. And I find that that's something that's challenging for a lot of singers who can like really, really sing down like live, is that like, will it sound the same within the confines of your Apple earbuds? You know what I mean? From playing from Spotify or Apple Music, like can you tell that this person is like an incredible vocalist? And I honestly feel like that's the case for Yebba. And one of my favorite things during that time were listening to the live versions of the songs. I would definitely encourage you to look up on YouTube any of the live versions. I don't think she has a Tiny Desk. Actually, no, I think she does. But I know that there's like a live compilation of her singing. You literally will go down a rabbit hole of listening to this lady sing because she can sing her face off. But I would say if you're looking for kind of a more slow, vocal heavy album to kind of get into, and I would play it like maybe on a Sunday, or if you're going on like a bike ride in the cold during the fall, which you probably won't do, but if that's your vibe, or just taking a walk. Dawn by Yeba is lovely. And then I'm going to mention 3 other projects just as special mentions, just because these albums personally for me remind me of the fall for specific reasons. I have to shout out Masego, and also apologies to Masego for not talking about him in the last episode, because I feel like if we're talking about alternative jazz, I mean, who else to talk about but like the trap jazz king? Like that's his entire aura, that like that's in his entire brand. So shout out to Masego. I have to shout out his album Lady Lady. And this album reminds me of the fall because it actually came out the year I started university. So when I went to TMU, but that semester when I first started university, I remember he dropped that album, and it just reminds me of the SLC for some reason. I used to run that album. I remember it was that album and Amala by Doja Cat. I was like running that like back to back to back to back. But just a lovely album. I love I Had a Vision. Prone is a banger. And then obviously the title track Lady Lady is just incredible. But that, from a production standpoint, it still kind of has jazz elements. If you still want kind of like a calm jazzy vibe, I would definitely jump into that. And then I have to mention Jordan Ward. I mentioned him in the last episode, but I have to shout him out again because he reminds me of fall 2 years ago. Honestly, I would say Cherimoya is like super autumn vibes. Most of it is, but Cherimoya specifically is like, if I were to pick a song that gave me fall vibes, it would be Cherimoya. And then the last one, Hiatus Coyote. I actually put a Hiatus Coyote song on the last playlist, so shout out to y'all if y'all caught that. I put Nakamura on the playlist, goated track, classic track. But anything Hiatus Coyote, I think And We Go Gentle is fabulous, but also Naipom's solo song, Crossfire Into You. And shout out to the listening room for this week. The listening room theme was Hiatus Coyote, so I got a chance to go. Just like, do I ever really have to say anything about my like Hiatus Coyote? Like, I feel like there's nothing else to say. They're just anything experimental and just sounds like I've never heard this before. I'm like all over it. And I think that you can really listen. They have music that you can listen to year round, but I just have like a deep appreciation for them, honestly. Just as a band, I think they are my favorite band in general. My top 3 though, for those who are asking, I know no one asked, but for my top 3 bands would be Hiatus Coyote, Little Dragon, and The Internet. I would get into all 3 of them. But yeah, those are the projects I kind of want to spotlight this week as some of my favorites that I like to listen to during the fall. And now that we've chatted that, we should jump into what I've been listening to outside of my playlist, of course, because I really liked the playlist last week and I was just getting into it. I went down a rabbit hole also. I had kind of like a pop girl moment this week. I went down a rabbit hole and got into like a Brie Runway bag. Love Brie Runway. I just feel like she is just pop genre bending realness. She can sing, she could dance, she could rap. She's one of my favorite genre fluid artists, honestly. And the song that I've had on replay this week is Gucci. And I also love that video, like not the redone one, but like the original one where it's literally Brie, backdrop, some heels, some sweatpants, and some twerking, like iconic ass video. And it just makes you feel like a baddie. Like it's just an iconic song. So I've listened to a lot of Brie Runway. I also love All Night. I feel like All Night is a very slept on song by her, but she could just really do it all. Like I feel like no song by her sounds the same, and that's what I love about her. ATM is a banger. And then she has a feature on the Flow album, the deluxe version, which is spectacular. She's on the Nocturnal remix, which is lovely. So who else have I listened to? Jay Stevens. I love Jay Stevens. I'm so late to her. I feel like I've seen her name a million times on my Spotify, but I don't know why. I just never got into her. for no particular reason, but I love Jay Stevens. She's giving us the pop girl, black girl realness that we need. SMH was my song this summer. I ran that song so much. SMH, I think she just dropped After Body, which is cool. And then I think is it Body Favors or Party Favors? I think it's Body Favors. That's what the song's called. But that's also a banger. I know that's an older song, but shout out to Jay Stevens. And then somebody else, actually I've been listening to it a lot this week, is Sad Boy. Funny enough, so Sad Boy is opening for Rico Nasty, and that was actually the first time I've seen Sad Boy and Rico Nasty perform was in 2017 when Sad Boy, her name was Ebony. That's what introduced me to her, like initially before she changed her name. And then that was my first Rico concert. So I'm going to the Rico concert that's coming up, and Sad Boy is opening for her. So shout out to Sad Boy and shout out to Rico. I cannot wait to see Sad Boy because I was listening to her EP, not the recent, well, a little bit of the recent one and then the one before, but Aki is my song, and she has a song called 2016. And I'm like, why am I just hearing this song? But I love 2016. Like, it's just such a vibe, and her music is just really fun. And I love seeing artists from Toronto just kind of do their own thing, whether it be like just genre bending music. She has like a song I put on an earlier place. I think it's called No Time. It like won a Juno or something, but I also absolutely love that song as well. So shout out to Sad Boy. Just one of the most interesting artists, I would say, from Toronto. And obviously we have a lot of talented artists, but I just love seeing artists kind of show me something I haven't seen, not just in Toronto, but just in general from other artists, and the way that she's kind of developed her sound over the years, I do admire, and just kind of like watching that process. But shout out to Sad Boy. Okay. This segment, and funny enough, I was supposed to label all of my segments every single episode, and I never do it. And who's going to clock me on it? Okay. That's what I thought. Anyways, so this next segment is basically just talking about concerts. The segment is called In the Pit. Like, I'm finna be in the pit. And if you understand that reference, I love you. But the next concerts that are coming up, October is actually stacked, and I don't know where the money's gonna come from to pay for all of these concerts. So if anyone knows any hookups that wants me to get free tickets, like, nobody's stopping you. Like, literally no one's stopping you. Like, just get me in for free. Or I could do the pyro, I could do the lighting. Like, hook me up. Damn. Okay. All Things Go Festival. All Things Go Festival in Toronto. Raven Lene is going to be there, so I need to see my girl. Do I have the tickets? No. But I'm going to be there. I don't know how. Casey Musgraves. I'm actually not a country, like, I don't listen to a lot of country music, but I had like a Casey Musgraves era during the pandemic, and she's just like, that album, and the title of it is losing me. Kind of want to see her live. She's an excellent singer, super brilliant. Casey Musgraves is gonna be there, and then Renee Rapp. I don't know a lot of Renee Rapp music, but I'm here for the lore, and I think I'm gonna laugh. So shout out to my girl Renee Rapp, another fellow yapper that I respect highly. Who's next? I already said Rico's coming. Nippa, his concert is on the same day as Rico, so unfortunately I can't go to see Nippa, and I'm kind of upset about it because I feel like I would have enjoyed it, and there's only 3 dates, and Toronto's one of them, so it's unfortunate. Chance the Rapper's coming. I don't know if I'm gonna go to that one. I didn't listen to the last album, but y'all let me know if you like it or not. Amina is coming. I have to go. I have to be there. I fear I have to be there. The last time I saw Amine, it was spectacular, and I might have to go. Do I know a lot of his music? No, but my friends love him, and he can perform, so I'm gonna be there. Dustin Conrad, duh. Amine, yes. Dustin Conrad, yes. Doechii, yes. Jid, I don't know, because the last time I went to a Jid concert is with Smino, and those fans were a bit gnarly, I'm not gonna lie, but shout out to Jid. Stacy is coming. I only know 2 of their songs. I won't be in attendance, but I love y'all down to the ground. And then Pink Panthers and Thundercat, absolutely, I will be there. And Zach Fox is coming. I always miss Zach Fox when he comes to Toronto, so I absolutely have to be at this one. But that was We Finna Be in the Pit. And for those that didn't know these people were coming to Toronto, they are coming to Toronto, so you have no excuse. Now, if you missed the concert, don't come talking to me like I didn't tell you, because I fully told you. I literally told you when the concert was, so you're welcome. And yeah, I fear that was the episode. A short one this week, a sweet one this week. But don't worry, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Was that a bar? Not really. But thank y'all for listening. And you know what this means. With episode 4 a playlist is among us. So I will be putting together a playlist that goes along with this episode. I normally link it on Spotify, but also check my Instagram because I also have it linked in my bio, and save the playlist, y'all. Follow, like, save, all of the things, engage. I would love it. I kind of need y'all to do this. I hate asking. I feel like I'm begging, but I would love it. Thank you. And yeah, let's enjoy the fall, y'all. And then next month is gonna be fun because we're gonna have a bunch of themes and we have a bunch of holidays coming up. But for now, let's keep it pumpkin spicy and enjoy the rest of the fall. Love y'all. Bye.